Captain James Miller stood tall in his crisp blue uniform. His heart beat fast as he walked into the great hall of the Galactic Council. The room was huge, with a high ceiling that seemed to touch the stars. Beings from 100 different worlds sat in curved rows that went up and up. Most had never seen a human before today. Miller touched the Earth flag pin on his chest for luck. Behind him walked 4 other humans, scientists and leaders who had traveled for 3 months to reach this place. They were the first humans to ever stand before the Council. Species 4291, humans of Earth, you may now speak, said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. Miller stepped forward to the round platform in the center. Bright lights shone down on him. He cleared his throat. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I am Captain James Miller of Earth. We come in peace and friendship. Our world is finally united under one government. We have solved our energy problems. We have cleaned our oceans and air. We ask to join your great community of worlds. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms stood up. This was Hell, the head of the council. His large eyes blinked slowly as he looked down at Miller. We have watched your kind for many years, human, said Hexel. His voice was cold. Your history is full of war. You fight over land, over beliefs, over small differences in your appearance. You nearly destroyed your own planet many times. That is our past, Miller said. We have changed. Hexel made a sound like water bubbling. It was a laugh. Change. Your kind does not change. Just 70 years ago, you were dropping atomic bombs on each other. Now you think you are ready to join us. Miller felt his face grow hot. We have worked hard too. You still eat the flesh of animals, said a green alien with tentacles for a face. Your mathematics is like a child's drawings, said another. And your ships, said a small purple being. They are so slow and clumsy. Laughter spread through the great hall. Thousands of aliens, all laughing at humanity. Miller stood frozen, his hands in tight fists at his sides. Hexel raised 2 of his 4 hands, and the room grew quiet. Human, your species is classified as Level 3 developing. You are not ready. Go back to your world. In 500 years, perhaps you may ask again. 500 years. Miller could not believe what he was hearing. But we have come so far. The council has spoken, Hexel said. Your world is now under quarantine. No member species may trade with you or share technology. This is for your own good and for the safety of the galaxy. Miller looked around the great hall. Some aliens looked sorry. Most looked bored. A few were still chuckling. You are making a mistake, Miller said quietly. No, human. The mistake was allowing you to come here at all. Hexel waved his hand, and the lights on the platform went dark. As guards led Miller and his team back to their ship, he felt a mix of shame and anger. The scientist walking next to him, Dr. Lisa Walker, touched his arm. They think they know us, she whispered. They have no idea what humans can do when we're underestimated. Miller nodded slowly. When we get home, we don't tell everyone how they laughed at us. We just tell them we have work to do. As their small ship left the massive council station, Miller looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there were thousands of worlds filled with beings who thought humans were a joke. Laugh now, he said softly to himself. But you haven't seen anything yet. 1 month after the council meeting, leaders from all Earth nations gathered in a large underground room in Geneva. The walls were thick. No signals could get in or out. No alien eyes could watch them here. Admiral Thomas Reed stood at the front of the room. His gray hair was cut short, and his eyes were sharp. On the screen behind him was a picture of the Galactic Council chamber. They laughed at us, Reed said. His voice was calm, but everyone could feel his anger. They called us children and put us in a corner for 500 years. The room stayed quiet. The shame of that day still hurt. We could protest, Reed continued. We could beg, or we could show them how wrong they are. He pressed a button, and the screen changed to show a new image. It was a plan for something called Project Prometheus. We will not fight the council. We will not cry about their choice. Instead, we will work in silence. We will learn. We will grow. And one day, they will be surprised. Dr. Lisa Walker, who had been at the council meeting with Captain Miller, stood up. She was small, with short black hair and quick hands that moved when she talked. "The aliens think their science is perfect," she said. "But I saw things on their ships that don't make sense. Their faster-than-light drives use too much energy. Their math has holes in it." She walked to the front and took Reed's place. On the screen, she showed strange equations. "They're making a basic mistake in how they understand quantum space. Look here and here." She pointed to parts of the equation. "They're forcing their way through space instead of working with it." Most people in the room couldn't understand the math, but they understood what she meant. "Give me 3 years and the best minds on Earth," Walker said. "We will build a better ship drive, one that uses 1/10 of the energy of theirs." Reed stepped forward again. "This will be the most important project in human history. Every country must work together. No fighting over who gets what. The whole world against the stars." A man from Russia stood up. "How do we hide this from the council?" "They said they watch us. They watch our broadcasts. They watch our cities from space," Reed said. "So we work underground. In mountains. Under the sea. We go dark." For the next 5 years, the best scientists from every country worked in secret bases. Old enemies became friends in labs hidden in deserts and oceans, while the council thought humans were just living their normal lives. Great things were happening below the surface. Dr. Walker led a team of 500 brilliant minds. Day and night, they studied the alien technology seen during the council visit. They tried, failed, and tried again. Walker slept only 4 hours each night. Her hair turned gray, but her eyes stayed bright with hope. Then, on a rainy Tuesday, it happened. Walker's team had built a small test drive in a lab under the Alps. When they turned it on, the small ball of metal in the test chamber disappeared. It moved faster than light, using only a car battery for power. Walker called Reed immediately. "We did it," she said, her voice shaking. "It works." Reed smiled for the first time in years. "How soon until we can build a real ship?" 2 years, maybe less. Reed looked at a map of the stars on his wall. The council thought humans were trapped in their solar system for 500 years. They were about to be proven very, very wrong. 20 years passed since the day Captain Miller stood before the Galactic Council. Earth looked the same from space. Cities lit up the night side. Ships sailed the oceans. Planes flew between countries. The council's watchers saw nothing unusual. They did not see what happened beyond the edges of the solar system. Colonel Marcus Jones stood on the bridge of the starship Phoenix. It was the 20th ship built by humans, and the biggest so far. Through the large window, he watched as small worker ships built a new colony on a planet they named New Terra. The planet circled a yellow star, 200 light-years from Earth. "Status report," Jones asked his second-in-command, Major Wilson. "Colony Dome 3 is almost complete, sir. The farms are ready. This will be our 12th working colony." Jones nodded. His dark skin shone in the light of the new star. "And the council?" "No sign of them, sir. Their nearest outpost is 60 light-years away. They have no idea we're here." Jones smiled. This was what humans did best. They adapted, they built, they expanded. While the council thought humanity was trapped in one solar system, people were spreading across the stars. "Sir," a young officer called from her screen. "Dr. Walker is asking to speak with you." Jones touched a button on his chair. "Put her through." Dr. Walker's face appeared on the big screen. Her hair was white now, but her eyes were still sharp. She was on a different ship, exploring far beyond the new colonies. "Marcus," she said, not caring about his rank. They had known each other too long for such formality. "We found something. You need to see this." 2 days later, Jones' ship arrived at a small rocky planet. It looked ordinary from space, but when his shuttle landed, he saw what Walker's team had discovered. Huge stone buildings rose from the dusty ground. They were covered in strange writing and symbols. Some had fallen over, but many still stood, tall and silent. "How old?" Jones asked, touching one of the stone walls. "At least 100,000 years," Walker said. "This civilization is long gone, but look what they left behind." She led him inside the largest building. The walls were lined with metal panels covered in symbols. In the center of the room was a pedestal with a glowing blue crystal. "It's still working after all this time," Walker said, her voice full of wonder. "We think this was their library, their knowledge base, and we're beginning to translate it." "What have you learned?" Jones asked. "These beings, we call them the precursors, they understood physics in a way completely different from the Council. The Council's science is like a child's compared to this." Walker pointed to symbols on the wall. "They didn't just travel between stars. They moved between dimensions. They built ships that could go anywhere in the universe in seconds." Jones looked at the crystal. "Can we use this knowledge?" "We already are," Walker said with a smile. "Look." She touched the crystal, and a hologram appeared above it. It showed designs for a ship unlike anything humans had built before. "This is our next project," she said. "A ship using precursor principles. It will make our current drives look slow. And the best part, the Council's science can't even begin to understand how it works." As they left the ancient building, Jones looked up at the stars. 20 years ago, they laughed at us," he said. "Called us primitive." "They won't be laughing much longer," Walker replied. Back on Earth, the official reports to the Council showed humans working on simple space stations around Mars. The Council watchers saw nothing unusual. They never noticed the hundreds of ships that slipped away in the night, carrying thousands of humans to new homes among the stars. 5 more years passed. Human colonies now spread across 50 planets, all hidden from the Council's eyes. The precursor technology had changed everything. Humans built better ships, stronger weapons, and faster communication systems. But they were not the only ones exploring the unknown parts of space. On the Vex homeworld, capital of the Galactic Council, Grand Councilor Xel was woken from his sleep cycle by urgent alarms. He rushed to the Council's emergency room, where screens showed a terrible sight. Strange black ships had appeared near the outer planets of the Vex system. They did not look like any known species ships. They did not answer any calls, and they were destroying everything in their path. "What are they?" Xel demanded. The military commander, a tall Vex named Pax, looked afraid. "We don't know. They appeared from nowhere. Their energy readings are unlike anything we've seen before." "Send the defense fleet," Xel ordered. The pride of the Council, 200 powerful warships, moved to face the strange black vessels. The Council had the most advanced weapons in known space. No enemy had challenged them in centuries. But when they fired on the black ships, nothing happened. Their weapons passed through the strange vessels like they were made of smoke. Then the black ships released streams of glowing purple energy that cut through the Council ships like they were made of paper. In just 2 hours, the entire defense fleet was destroyed. Xel watched in horror as the screens went dark, one by one. "This is impossible," he whispered. Over the next few weeks, the strange ships, now called the Void Swarm, attacked more Council worlds. Nothing could stop them. They destroyed planets and even consumed stars, turning them into black holes that pulled in everything nearby. Far away in human space, Admiral Reed, once captain, sat in his office on Nuterra. He was old now, but still led humanity's expansion. Grand Councilor Xel stood in the ruins of what had once been the Council's most beautiful city. The tall buildings were broken. Fires burned everywhere. In the sky above, 3 Void Swarm ships hung like dark stars, watching. "Half our worlds are lost," said Commander Pax, his voice hollow. "Billions dead or running away. Our weapons do nothing." Zell had ruled the council for over 100 years. He had never known defeat before. Now he tasted the bitter flavor of fear. "There must be someone who can help us," Zell said. "Some species with different technology." A young aide approached nervously. "Sir, our spy ships have reported something strange. Several outer planets that should have been attacked by the Void Swarm are—" "Fine. Fine. How?" Zell demanded. "We don't know, but there are ships there. Ships we've never seen before." The aide showed Zell images of sleek vessels with us. The meeting room was silent as Zell and his council members sat across from Chancellor Reed and the human leaders. Outside, through large windows, they could see the lights of a vast underground city. Humans had built all this while the council thought they were contained. "We offer full membership in the Galactic Council," Zell said, breaking the silence. "All rights and privileges. Access to all our worlds and technology. In return, we ask for your help against the Void Swarm." Reed looked at the other humans, then back at Zell. "The same council that laughed at us 25 years ago. That called us primitive and dangerous." Zell's blue skin darkened with shame. "Times have changed." "Yes, they have," Reed agreed. "But your offer is not enough." The council members looked shocked. One of them, a thin alien with 6 eyes, spoke up angrily. "Not enough. We offer you everything." Admiral Jones, who stood behind Reed, stepped forward. "You offer to let us join your club, but your club is broken. Half your worlds are gone. Your ships are being destroyed. Your way of thinking is outdated." Reed nodded. "We will help you, but not as junior members of your council. We propose something new. An alliance of equals. Every species gets 1 vote. No more developed and undeveloped labels." Zell frowned. "The council has stood for 10,000 years. And now it's falling." Reed interrupted. "Because it stopped growing, stopped learning." Dr. Walker entered the room, carrying a small device that glowed with blue light. She placed it on the table. "This is based on precursor technology," she explained. "It creates a field that pushes the Void Swarm back to their dimension. We can build larger versions to protect entire planets." One of the council scientists leaned forward. "How does it work?" Walker smiled. "It changes the quantum frequency of our space. The swarm exists at a different frequency. When the frequencies don't match, they can't stay here." The scientist looked confused. "But that violates the 3rd law of dimensional physics." "Only as you understand it," Walker said. "The precursors had a different approach." Reed stood up and walked to a large screen on the wall. It showed a map of the galaxy, with red spots marking Void Swarm attacks. "Admiral Jones has developed a strategy to push back the swarm," Reed said. "We don't just defend, we attack." Jones touched the screen, and a simulation played. It showed human ships creating a field that forced the swarm ships to retreat. "We need to hit 27 key points at once," Jones explained. "Force them back through the dimensional rift they came from, then seal it." The council military leader, Pax, shook his head. "Impossible. We would need hundreds of ships working perfectly together." "We have ships," Jones said. "What we need is access to your space, your communication networks, and your full cooperation." Zell looked at the other council members. They were the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Now they were being told what to do by humans, the same species they had mocked and dismissed. "And if we refuse?" Zell asked, though he already knew the answer. Reed's face was serious. "Then we protect our worlds and let you handle the swarm on your own." The room was quiet again. Finally, Kettle stood up. "What would this new alliance be called?" he asked. Reed smiled. "The Interstellar Alliance. Equal partners working together." "And where would its headquarters be?" another council member asked. Reed looked out the window at the human city. "Earth seems like a good place to start." Zell closed his eyes for a moment. The mighty Galactic Council was ending. But perhaps something better would take its place. "We agree to your terms," he said. Now, show us how to fight these creatures. The largest fleet ever seen in the galaxy gathered near a dead star. 3,000 ships from 20 different species hung in space, waiting. At the center were 200 human vessels, their hulls shining with blue light from the precursor technology built into them. On the bridge of the flagship Freedom, Commander Emma Miller looked at the star map. She was Captain James Miller's daughter, born after his return from the council meeting 25 years ago. Now she led the human forces in this final battle. "All ships report ready," said her second-in-command. Emma nodded. "Tell them we start in 5 minutes." On a nearby ship, Dr. Walker watched through a window. She was very old now, her hands shaking slightly. But her mind was still sharp. The device she had created was now built into every ship in the fleet. But would it be enough? Admiral Jones' voice came through all communication systems. "This is Admiral Jones to all ships. We have one chance to drive the Void Swarm back to their dimension. Follow your assigned paths exactly. Watch each other's backs. No species fights alone today." The fleet moved forward as one. They entered a region of space where stars had been eaten by the swarm, leaving only darkness. Soon, the black ships appeared, hundreds of them, moving like a cloud of smoke. "Activate precursor shields," Emma ordered. Blue fields surrounded all the Alliance ships. When the Void Swarm fired their purple energy beams, the blue fields bent the energy away. "Forward," Emma shouted. The battle was like nothing seen before. The Alliance ships moved in careful patterns, herding the swarm toward a specific point in space. Each time a ship's shields grew weak, others would cover it until the shields recovered. Grand Counselor Xel's ship, the largest of the old Council fleet, was hit hard by 3 swarm vessels. Its shields failed, and dark energy began to cut through its hull. Without hesitation, Emma Miller turned her ship toward the danger. "Cover me," she ordered, then flew directly between Xel's ship and the attackers. Her ship's shields flared bright blue as they took the hits meant for Xel. Alarms blared on her bridge as systems overloaded. "We can't hold this position," her second-in-command warned. "Just a little longer," Emma said through gritted teeth. "Get Xel's ship to safety." The Council ship limped away as Emma's vessel continued to block the attack. Just as her shields were about to fail, Admiral Jones' ships arrived, driving back the swarm attackers. "That was too close," Jones said over the comm. Emma smiled. "Just following the plan, sir." After 6 hours of fighting, the Alliance had pushed all the swarm ships toward a glowing tear in space, the rift they had come through. "All ships, full power to displacement fields," Jones ordered. Every ship directed blue energy at the swarm. Slowly, the black ships were forced back through the rift. Dr. Walker, watching from her ship, activated a special device. A pulse of energy shot out, sealing the rift behind the last swarm ship. Cheers erupted across the fleet. The Void Swarm was gone. 1 month later, representatives from all species gathered on Earth. In the same room where Chancellor Reed had once planned humanity's secret expansion, they signed the Charter of the Interstellar Alliance. Reed, now very old, stood to make a speech. He looked at the aliens who had once laughed at humanity, then at the humans who had worked so hard to prove them wrong. "Today marks a new beginning," he said. "Not because one species conquered others, not because we were stronger or faster, but because when faced with extinction, we chose cooperation over pride." He looked at Xel, who nodded in respect. "Our strength was never in our weapons," Reed continued. "It was in our ability to adapt, to think differently, and to persevere when others had given up. These are the traits that will carry this alliance forward." As the ceremony ended, Emma Miller looked out at the night sky. The stars no longer seemed far away. They were humanity's new home.